Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about hepatocellular carcinoma. So, in the hepatocellular carcinoma, first we will learn the risk factors. The risk factors of hepatocellular carcinoma are: first, it can cause cirrhosis. So, it can cause cirrhosis. It can be due to hepatitis B virus or hepatitis C virus or alcohol, or it can be due to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or primary biliary cirrhosis can result in cirrhosis, which will lead to hepatocellular carcinoma, or it can be due to chronic active hepatitis, which leads to cirrhosis leading to hepatocellular carcinoma. Then if you see metabolic disorders include, in the metabolic disorders we have hemochromatosis. Metabolic disorders include hemochromatosis, Wilson's disease. It includes hemochromatosis, Wilson's disease, glycogen storage disorder. It includes glycogen storage disorder, hemochromatosis, Wilson's disease, glycogen storage disorder, alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Then it will cause porphyria cutanea torta. It will result in porphyria. This hepatocellular carcinoma can be due to porphyria cutanea torta. It can be due to citrullinemia and orotic aciduria and Alagille syndrome. So these are the different disorders which result in hepatocellular carcinoma. Then if you see the environmental causes which causes hepatocellular carcinoma include: 1. Cigarette smoking will result in hepatocellular carcinoma. Then anabolic steroids can result in hepatocellular carcinoma. And aflatoxins which are due to aspergillus and thorotrust. Thorotrust increases the risk of hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay, if you see thorotrust will increase the risk of, number 1, it increases the risk of hepatocellular carcinoma. It will also increase the risk of cholangiocarcinoma. It will also increase the risk of hepatic fibrosis, and it will also increase the risk of angiosarcoma. So these are the important points about thorotrust increasing the risk. Right. So if you see, this is about the thorotrust. Next, if you were asked what is the most common primary malignancy of liver, most common primary malignancy of the liver is hepatocellular carcinoma. If you were asked where is it more common, it is more common in males. In 5th to 6th decade it is most common. Then if you see, the maximum incidence is seen in Asia and sub-Saharan Africa. Maximum incidence of hepatocellular carcinoma is seen in Asia and sub-Saharan Africa. What is the most common cause of hepatocellular carcinoma? Among all these, HBV is the most common cause of hepatocellular carcinoma. Now, in recent years, if you see, recently this HBV induced hepatocellular carcinoma is being decreased in incidence due to, why? Because of due to increased vaccination. The hepatocellular carcinoma which is induced by due to hepatitis B virus is decreased, and HCV induced hepatocellular carcinoma is increased due to the blood transfusions, or it can be due to sexually transmitted diseases. It is increased due to blood transfusion, sexually transmitted diseases, and it is also increased due to It is associated with HIV. Okay, so these are the important points about the hepatocellular carcinoma. Now, if you see the pathological types, pathologically there are 3 different types of hepatocellular carcinoma. One, we have hanging type. This hanging type has the best prognosis. Hanging type has best prognosis. Then we have the second type, which is we have pushing type of hepatocellular carcinoma. Then we have infiltrative type of hepatocellular carcinoma. Infiltrative type is most common and it has the worst prognosis among all is infiltrative type of hepatocellular carcinoma. Then this hepatocellular carcinoma also has vascular invasion. Here in the vascular invasion, it will invade to the portal vein. It will invade to the portal vein, and even in the portal vein it will invade from one branch to other branch also. So thus it will result in multicentric and bilobular spread. Because of that there will be multicentric and bilobular spread, that is involving the different areas of the liver and involving both the veins. How can the vascular invasion spread from one branch to other? Because this portal vein is actually a valvulus veins. These valvulus veins are IVC is a valvulus vein, superior vena cava is a valvulus vein, portal vein is a valvulus vein, and Bart's plexus are valvulus veins, and dural venous sinuses. Dural venous sinuses are also valvulus veins. So because they are valvulus veins, they can spread the infection from one vein. They can easily spread the infection from one vein to another vein. Now if you see the clinical features of hepatocellular carcinoma, the most common symptom is abdominal pain is the most common symptom. Abdominal pain will be present, followed by weight loss. And if you were asked what is the significant weight loss, if there is weight loss, then when do you call the weight loss as significant? Significant weight loss is if there is more than 5% weight loss in 1 month, or if there is more than 10% weight loss in 6 months, then we call it as significant weight loss. If there is 20% weight loss in 1 year, then we call it as significant weight loss. Then if you see the other symptoms include the patient can also have anorexia, fatigue, he can have jaundice. Jaundice will be around 10% jaundice will be there, and there will be tumor rupture. Tumor rupture, that is 3 to 5% tumor rupture will be there, and the patient will have audible bruit. In 20 to 25% of cases you will see presence of audible bruit. Then you will also see in the hepatocellular carcinoma, you will see presence of one important manifestation, which is paraneoplastic syndromes will also occur. So paraneoplastic manifestation is seen. So what do you see? What is the most common paraneoplastic manifestation? Hypercholesterolemia is the most common paraneoplastic manifestation. What is the second most common paraneoplastic manifestation? Hypoglycemia is the second most common paraneoplastic manifestation. Then erythrocytosis will be seen, and you will also see hypercalcemia are seen. So these are the paraneoplastic manifestations. Next, if you see the tumor markers. In the tumor markers, the most important tumor markers which will be raised are alpha fetoprotein will be more than 20 milligrams per ml. It is seen in 70% of hepatocellular carcinoma. And you will also see increased PIVKA2. What is this PIVKA2? It is protein induced by vitamin K absence 2. Protein induced by vitamin K absence 2 will also be increased. Then what about the diagnosis? Now in the diagnosis, if you see the first investigation that is done for hepatocellular carcinoma is ultrasonography is the first investigation. What is the investigation of choice? Investigation of choice is triple phase CT is the investigation of choice. In the triple phase CT, you will see presence of arterial hypervascularization will be there with venous washout. You will see presence of arterial hypervascularization with venous washout will be seen in the triple phase CT. Now, what about the staging? There are many staging classifications are present for hepatocellular carcinoma. So, in the staging, first and foremost, TNM staging is not used. Then what staging do you use? There is a staging which is called as Okuda's classification. This Okuda classification is most commonly used for hepatocellular carcinoma. This includes one, we have bilirubin. This can be remembered as BATA. In Okuda classification, bilirubin, albumin is present, and there will be tumor size and ascites are the components of Okuda classification. Then the next staging is we have CLIP staging. CLIP staging is cancer liver Italian program. CLIP staging is cancer liver Italian program. According to this CLIP staging, we have PACT. P for portal vein thrombosis. Portal vein thrombosis are the components are portal vein thrombosis, alpha fetoprotein, child Tarquat-Pug score, and we have tumor extension. So according to cancer liver Italian program, there are 4 components, that is portal vein thrombosis, AFP, child Tarquat-Pug score, and tumor extension. Then the next we have Chinese University Prognostic Index. According to Chinese University Prognostic Index, this we have BA3 Ts, BATs. B for bilirubin. Then A is A3, that is alpha fetoprotein, ascites and alkaline phosphatase. And T for TNM staging. Then we have S for symptom. So these are the components of Chinese University Prognostic Index. Now, next is management. So these are the staging classifications. Now if you see the management, in the management first we have BCLL. BCLC. According to BCLC, that is Barcelona Clinic for Liver Cancer. This Barcelona Clinic for Liver Cancer is mainly based on Akuda staging. It is based on Akuda staging and patient performance. So according to this, so first, if the cancer is multicentric, involving different many areas, which is seen in 75 to 80%, then it is mostly unresectable tumor. You will see whether it is resectable or unresectable. If it is unresectable tumor, then you should do palliation. Then in 20 to 25% of cases, it will be a resectable tumor. If it is a resectable tumor, then there are 2 things. One, whether we can reserve adequately the liver tissue. Is there any adequate hepatic reserve? If we can preserve the hepatic tissue that is adequate for survival, then you will resect it. If we cannot preserve the adequate hepatic tissue for which is required for survival, that means if the tumor is present for a larger place, such that it cannot salvage or protect any, we cannot protect any liver tissue, then we should resect the tumor and then you should do transplantation. So this is about the Barcelona Clinic criteria for liver cancer. Then the next important criteria is we have Millen's criteria. Millen's criteria for liver transplantation. Millen's criteria for liver transplantation in hepatocellular carcinoma.